Hey everyone, welcome to the latest installment of MSP Business School. I'm Brian Doyle.
And McNeil.
And I'm Rob Rogers.
And we are coming at you a couple days after the 4th. And you know, that got us to thinking, even though all it did was rain here in the Northeast over the 4th, but it got us to thinking about how it's summertime now. In summer, you know, we all can feel a little bit of a slowdown, right? We can see some things changing out in the marketplace, but, you know, that doesn't mean we can start making excuses and blame everything on the season. There's some things that we can do to take charge and make sure that we're ensuring sales success both over the summer and long term. So I think that's what we're going to focus this roundtable on today. And, you know, I'm looking forward to this because, you know, I've definitely seen demo numbers somewhat down. People are still engaged, but I'm definitely seeing the out of the office messages coming back at me feverishly, especially when my marketing team is out there putting out email blasts. You know, they'll come back to me and go, "Don't look at this week's open rate. Don't look at them because 300 of them aren't in the office." Get over yourself.
Yeah.
So what are you guys experiencing? How are you seeing the summer start?
For us, it's been from an OSR standpoint, it's been pretty similar, right? I think the people that we're talking to and the people that are in the pipeline, they've been engaged, but not necessarily around, right? So I don't know if it's a post-COVID thing. There were, obviously, everybody knows there were a couple years there where people were much more hesitant to go away. I mean, that probably started last year, but I feel like it's even more extreme this year. Just like a gut feeling that more people are going on vacation this year than last year. But you know, there's ways to overcome it, right? Just like anything. So, but that we are seeing a lengthening of the time to close, not necessarily lack of engagement.
I think that's a great point. You know, I'm seeing a little bit of the similar kind of things. Like, you know, right now we're sitting and recording this on July 6th. So, you know, great example is this week. This was a week where you could take 9 days off for the price of 4, right?
Yep.
If you live here in the States. So, you know, this is a big vacation week for a lot of folks. And what I'm not seeing is sales stoppage. I'm just getting a lot of, hey, we got to wait. You know, the team gets back on the 12th. You know, we'll have the full team back on the 12th. We can't reconvene until that time to make a decision. I've seen some of, you know, from our perspective, part of our sales process is trials, obviously a little different than the MSP community. I've seen people asking for extensions of trials just because the full team hasn't been there to test it over the last couple of weeks. We've had a couple vacations, and that stuff I can validate too. So, you know, I can go in there and say, oh yeah, I've seen, you know, guys, they logged in last week, they didn't log in this week, but now today somebody logged in. And you can roll with that, you know, as long as you're putting some stakes in the ground on the other side and saying, great, you know, I'm happy to extend you, but on X date, we got to kind of come to a decision. Are you cool with that in return for the extension? So, you know, that's part of my tip. If the sales process gets a little slower, that's great, Mr. Customer. I got people I got to answer to too. Can we agree, if I'm going to push this out a few weeks, that we can meet on July 20th? And, you know, get to what's going to be the go or no go status, or what's going to be our next step if it requires another meeting or wherever you might be in the sales process. So, you know, I guess if I was going to throw out my first tip of the day, and then I'll pass the ball, you know, make sure that you're setting the next step with firm acceptance and a plan to be there. And, you know, kind of keep the momentum going, even if you got to slow down the momentum in terms of time, just knowing you've got a bona fide next action step.
Yeah, like to change it up a little bit, Brian, and move it into what does this mean to the MSP trying to, you know, close deals on their side? One of the things that Tim and I have been saying for years, I mean, it's cyclical, but there's two things that you think about in the summer months. Number one is you're going to be able to speak to less decision makers on the prospecting side, but those that you do have more time. Right, so you're going to be able to have longer, in-depth conversations with decision makers, and where you kind of switch up your prospecting is the CPA sending season just ended. Like they're flush now, you know, so that's a good market to be going after. Schools, municipalities, governments, all their contract end dates are coming up in June and July. every single one of them. New fiscal year starts. So those are good time to, readdress projects and MRR deals and like really make a concerted effort into those groups. So that's what we tell, our, employees that we're managing. Those are the markets that you're going after right now.
Yeah. Well, and I think an extension of that, look, we talk on here, or we have talked on here enough times about just different marketing campaigns and doing drop-ins, doing whether it's a mailing or dropping something off during the summer months. I would argue it's probably more important than any other time of year, mainly because you're not, because the sales process or the sales, the sales engine does kind of gets a little bit longer during the summer months. You've got to, in some ways, stay more relevant and more top of mind. And just doing the phone calls or just sending an email, that doesn't necessarily work when people are on vacation for 10 days, right? So, when they get back into the office, if they've got something that you dropped off and it's one of the first things they see, and then you follow that up with an email, knowing that email and or call, knowing when they're going to be back in the office, it's going to put you top of mind. So it's just the little things to think about when you're trying to get somebody to close, especially when it is vacation season.
Yeah, and I think the misnomer that I often hear from sales reps during the this time of year, hey, it is what it is. People go away, but you have the right to ask questions about, oh, when is Jim back? Are you heading out anytime around that period of time? You've got to do, we talk about account planning. We talk about, looking 3 above you, 3 below you, 3 to either side when you're mapping out your account. Well, at this time of year, you got to map out vacations in that as well. Put into your CRM, this is when people are missing, because that decision may be delayed just because they can't get to committee, because a lot of companies, especially smaller ones, try to stagger their key man vacation schedules too.
Yeah.
If the 3 of us were running a company, all 3 of us can't be away on the same week, or nobody would get a demo, right?
Yeah.
Nobody would get a sales call. So, you've got to make sure that you're doing that, and you got to appreciate your customer is going to be that way too. And you got to map out what their vacation schedule looks like, especially if you got like a cornerstone deal for you in the works.
Yeah. Hey,
Well,
no, go ahead.
I was just going to say the death of an average salesperson is they don't get that information. And let's say you're an MSP salesperson and you're calling into a prospect, you're trying to get them to close. You didn't do your job well enough, or for whatever reason, you don't know that person's on vacation. And maybe that company doesn't have a gatekeeper that you talk to. So they get back and the first thing they hear is 3 or 4 messages that are getting more and more desperate, with a few emails along the way. And it's an instant way to turn somebody off. So you have to know what that next step is.
Yeah, you're almost saying like dark versus distant, right?
Yeah.
We often think that some people are going dark when really all it is a question of being distant. They're, even during the regular year, the conference seasons, things like that, where people are just not engaged in their day to day and they're into a bigger picture format. So that's a great call out.
Yeah. There's 2 things like for that. Like if you send that email and they didn't turn on their notifications, then clearly, you have to like talk to the gatekeeper. You have to find out what's going on. But one of the things that I tell people to do when they're doing their prospecting is, when they call somebody during vacation season, if they say to you, I can't talk now, and they, then they have to go, that's one thing. But if they say, hey, I can't talk now because I'm going on vacation next week, that is an implicit ability to open up that that conversation. They could have just hung up on you. So if they say, hey, I can't talk now, I'm going on vacation, immediately go in, oh, that's cool, where are you going on vacation next week? And let them talk a little bit. And then you put all those notes into your CRM, and when they get back, then you have another conversation. But just because they say, hey, I can't talk now, I'm going on vacation, doesn't mean you hang up. Right? You get that one more question because they gave you the ability to say that. And everybody kind of wants to talk about where they're going to be going on vacation because they're excited about it, right? So, that's just one way that I found to kind of extend the conversation, get some information for later, and be able to have that, follow-up conversation when they get back.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. So, we just talked a little bit about how we can stay engaged, how we can measure and manage the summertime output, right? And make sure that we're staying in front of that. But, there is the reality. Some of these deals are going to take a little longer. Sales are going to be a little bit quieter. how can we ramp up other activities that are going to make sure that as we get into that third and fourth week of August, when people are returning back to school, that we're hitting the ground running, we're getting out there and crushing it, and we're making sure that that short period of time that we really have between, Labor Day and Thanksgiving, that we're
Yeah.
maximizing all of it, right? Because we already know what happens once we get to T-Day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think to that point, that goes back to, again, just kind of what I was referencing before. And I think it's really important now more than ever to have defined marketing cadences behind a salesperson, right? And that includes sending things by mail, following up on LinkedIn, by email, making phone calls, doing it in a professional way, that for when people do get back into the office, ultimately you want them to be the first person that they think of. And that's it's really just about staying top of mind in the most professional way possible. We've seen huge results with sending some sort of mailers, whether it's a Robin Robbins-esque style, or just catering to a warm 250, and being very pinpointed with a select group of prospects that would be an ideal client for you. I mean, this is your time to ramp up that side of the sales engine.
Yeah, I was going to even go back to a topic that Rob used to bring up very early in our time together, but hasn't brought up in a while, but the Dream 250. Yeah. This is a great time to calibrate that Dream 250. Get rid of the people that are either deadwood you've never gotten to, or you've actually been successful with, and get that that list going again, so you can really dive hard into it. Come first, second week of August as you prep up for fall sales.
Yeah. I really like the Dream 250, and you guys know I am a big believer in direct mail cadences into your calling campaign. But I like doing, our own kind of direct mail, right? Going up to Calendly, or like one of those send out cards, and finding your own style with some of those calendar dates out there. But, those types of campaigns are very powerful right now. They're working 2 to 3 times better than just a regular call or email calling campaign. So I'm a big believer in them, and especially as you're coming up to that really meaty part of August through Thanksgiving, now's the time to invest the money, right? And like work on those direct mail cadences into your calling campaign.
Yeah.
Another thing I see as an opportunity, and this is going to get a little outside the box here, because a lot of sales reps don't think about this as much, but this is a great opportunity for personal branding and thought leadership also. You can use some of this downtime to really work on your brand on LinkedIn. Do a little bit of video, do a little bit more of that personal touch without it being constant barrage of just your product messaging. And then another thing, this is something that I do each summer, is I look at all the people that I talked to in the last 12 months or 18 months. And anybody that I haven't connected with in over 6 months that either bought, didn't buy, or I don't know what the end result is, I'll record a short video, a boomerang, or whatever your tool of choice might be for that. And I'll just say, hey, Tim, I haven't talked to you in a long time, man. Love to reconnect. Hopefully things are going well for you. Couple things that we've done differently since the last time we got together is we released X, we did Y, and we got Z. Love to have a moment to chat with you. Either click my link below, or depending on what your tool is, schedule up with me. Maybe it's the right time for us to re-engage. And if it's not, just let me know when your contract's going to expire. And now, at the very least, they might blow you off with a contract end date. And the thing is, it's kind of like the lumpy mail thing. Now you're coming at them. You're not really going into much. You're getting that thing queued up, and you're building this arsenal. So when it does come to the first, second, third week of August, you can start pushing those out and feeding your schedule going into the fall. You got to take advantage of these new media tools, right? And really do these things. And, that's going to set you apart. There's not a whole, marketing. I get video marketing letters, or video letters from a sales perspective, only from marketing companies.
Wait, what do you mean? What do you
Oh,
mean?
I get these videos like this every once in a while. You know, sometimes you get the ones where they go, "Hey, Brian," or they'll show your website. You know,
Oh
like
yeah,
they're holding a
yeah,
newspaper
yeah,
up.
yeah.
But it always seems to be from marketing companies that are telling you, "Hey, this is how you should market. Did this grab your attention?" And guess what? It did. But I'm seeing I don't get much of that from any other vendors that are courting me.
Wow,
You know what I
Brian,
mean?
you're
You know,
right.
so
Yeah,
when you
it's a
look
good
at something
call.
that's going to be a
Good
little bit
call.
different in the MSP community, doing these little video snippets and sending them out could be a difference, because it seems like the only people that have really gotten comfortable with integrating that fully into their process are marketing companies. And that's because that's what they're
Yeah.
also trying to sell you on sometimes,
Yeah,
right?
well,
So,
yeah.
Yeah,
you know, so it makes
100%.
sense, but damn, it's not hard to do. You
It's
just got
not.
to get comfortable being in front of the camera, and you just got to go in there with you got to have a pitch, but you know, it's time consuming because you got to build it for each person.
Mhm.
But again, if you're running into you know, it was just July 3rd and some people had to go into the office because it was Monday.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but Brian, some people are better at pitches than other people.
Well, I mean, Rob, you don't have to
Yeah.
share with everybody how fantastic I am at pitching, and
No, 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 I'm just
how you just someday wish to be
That was the worst
what I can
transition
be.
ever. That was so bad.
It was meant to be a transition, but no, you know, I mean, a little side talk. We're you know, as you all know, we're in Pitch It right now, and not too far off. Rob and I got to start squaring off with others, but I think there might be a point where we have to square off on one. We need a big dog in this house.
what, you think that's you?
You know, I'm a big
Are,
dog in
is
most
that where we're
houses I
going?
show up
Is
to.
this like a mano a mano type of call out here?
I don't know, man. You know, I mean, you know, it's not really up to you. I'm ready.
Oh, Brian. Oh, anytime you think that you can step up to the plate, let's do this.
I'll step up to the mic and then I'll drop it, bro.
Probably because you stumbled up there.
Anyway, so we'll see about that. Rob and I, you know, we
All right,
both got these
Brian, it's
pitches to
on.
do, and I love a little game on, but you know, I just throw out there who looks more comfortable in front of a microphone. He may be the better looking guy, but man,
It's the glasses.
Yeah, much more distinguished.
No, but all kidding aside, I think that's kind of fun. And but you know, let's get back to what our topic really was, because we'll have more fun with that as you and I maybe have some offline conversations. But you know, in terms of this though, you got to get creative with how you're messaging your clients too. You know, we talk about lumpy mail, but we still got to use email effectively. And
Yep.
I think these video emails, you know, I do stop and watch them, and I stop and watch them even though I know they know I'm watching them, and that's probably going to get me more email and more follow up. But I don't
Yeah.
care, because I'm like, hey, what's making this person work? And guess what? It did trip my switch, right? You know, I'm like, now I'm interested in what you got to say.
Like, it just goes back to, you're just trying to separate yourself in any way, shape, or form. There's so much white noise out there. So much white noise. You've got to break through it. And video, I agree. Like, video, when people send me videos, I couldn't tell you the last time I didn't watch one. Doesn't mean that I bought from them necessarily, but I couldn't tell you the last time I didn't watch one.
Look, you know, we all know as salespeople, the first step is we're selling the meeting.
Yeah.
The second step is we're selling the product. So we got to use something to get to the meeting, right? And if that can be a way to get to a meeting and put some know, like, and trust into the equation up front, put some comfortability with the end user for when we do meet with them. And it's something we can start doing in our off time right now. You can record, you know, these should not be more than a minute long.
Yeah.
They should be very succinct. You should write a script so you know what you're saying, because it's the same message to everybody. It's just, hey, Rob, you know, how things are going well over at OSR and you're having a great summer. Bomb, 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 bomb. Hey, Tim, hope you're having a great summer. It's time to get a new printer. Let's talk, you know.
The printer is straight out of 1995. There's nothing wrong with it.
But you know, you can record those now, and I think, you know, that kind of probably brings us into something we can close this out with. When do you start really ramping up that activity to get ready for the fall? So if you're connecting with your existings, and by no means am I saying stop prospecting, but if you're really saying, look, I'm going to put my focus on prospecting, a lot of sales reps wait until September. And you know, the reality is people are going back to school, depending on where you are and what region of this country, as early as August 10th.
Yeah.
And
Completely.
most are
And we're in
going
the
in
South.
around the 20, starting the week of the 20th, right?
Yep.
So you got to start looking at, when do people go back to school? Because that's when vacation is over for the most part. And the second thing is, you can start a week or two ahead of that,
Yep.
planting the seed.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's something I think most people are missing the opportunity on, giving them that 2-week jump, because the first message isn't going to land. So start seeding with that prospect, getting those first 3 to 5 touches in those first 2 to 3 weeks. So you're ramping up your success as you get beyond there.
Yeah.
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 All right. Well, with those yups, I think we're heading towards the end of the episode. There's not much else to say here.
Well, I mean, like, there's not much. It's going to take
Yeah.
you 9 to 12 touches, and
Yeah.
if you start getting that, heavy lift done when all you're doing is just trying to be remembered, that's the time to do it.
It is.
All right. So let's go around the horn here. Any closing thoughts? Rob, let's start with you.
Okay. So, one of the things that I like to do when, I look at every single email that comes through, and so every marketing email that comes into my email, I look at it and I read it real quick. If I get the vibe that I like it, I save it. If I don't like what they did, or they completely missed the boat, I junk them and block them. And so, I'm always filtering in new ideas for email cadences and I put it into a special folder, and I do the exact same thing in LinkedIn as well. So if I were to give, the business owners out there that are trying to understand how to do marketing themselves, you start using it. Use everybody else's knowledge and group think it, and put it into its own little folder in your Outlook, to understand what you found attractive with it, and keep it, and then you can use it later. Not everybody out there has a marketing team like you do, Brian. We have to do it ourselves, and that's how I find that I can do it, where I feel like it's going to be effective.
Yeah.
I think most of us are doing it ourselves to some degree, but go on there.
Yeah.
Tim, you're
I
out.
do. I agree with that. I mean, an extension of that is, look, everybody's got a different message. The way it's packaged is really, that's where it's at, right? Some people do package it really well, some people don't. And through looking at, all of us get emails left, right, and center about people trying to sell us, and some of them are really good emails. So just take pointers. It's not that you have to copy word for word what people are doing. Just take a sentence or two here, or a sentence or two there, and make it your own. I mean, it's a copycat world. There's nothing wrong with it. We're not telling you to plagiarize. It's a copycat world. Find stuff you like, recreate it into your own words, and go from there.
Yep. And I'll close with, don't slow down.
Mm.
Take your time, smell the flowers, enjoy the summer, no doubt, but don't slow down. Don't be that guy that feels like, everybody's out for the summer, we could take a step back. Keep that activity up. Some respects, I'd say even double it, because you got free time, because some of your meetings are getting delayed. And get out there, because it'll only serve you well come the time where everybody gets back in their seats and has 3 months of heads down, got to make things happen.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, fellas, that's about it for us for today. You guys have anything else that you want to say before we take this home?
Other than, I think the gauntlet's been thrown down, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes.
Brian, it's on. It's on. It's a competition now. 2 sales guys going at it, mano a mano.
Go old school. It's on like Donkey Kong.
That's
baby.
right. Meet me at the playground after school.
All right.
This
So
episode will be up on mspbusinessschool.com, or anywhere that you get your podcast. And with that, fellas, have a great afternoon, and I look forward to talking to you next time with my win.
that's me, just with nothing to say.
There's
Shocking. Shocking.
Time to go.
That's what's going to happen to you on stage.
Me at a loss for words. That'd be fun.
All
right,
fellas.
guys. Well, thanks for everything, and we'll see you all next week.
All right. Take care.
Have a good one.